offshore wind, solar. Dominion Energy is a leader in the clean energy transition. We're dedicated to providing reliable, affordable, safe, and clean energy as we support and invest in our communities in 16 states. Dominion Energy is building a clean energy future. Actions speak louder. I'm Peggy Fox, Dominion Energy's Media and Community Relations Manager in Northern Virginia. First, I want to introduce Kate Staples. She is our Manager of Electrification. Thanks for joining us, Kate.
Sure, thank you for having me.
What does Electrification Manager mean? What do you do? Why do we have an Electrification Manager?
Being Manager of Electrification is a really fun job. And what it means is we're helping our customers make the transition from fuels like gasoline and diesel to using electricity to power their transportation and factories and other operations.
And it's very important for our company to kind of boost and promote electrification. What kind of projects do we have going on to do that?
Sure, we have projects going on for multiple types of customer segments. We have rebates for residential customers. We have education programs and outreach programs where we go into communities and teach them about electric vehicles. And we also have the nation's largest electric school bus program.
Really a lot of great programs. We will talk more in depth about each of them. But first, I want to give people a little look because many people are not familiar with electric vehicles. So what is it like to own and drive an electric vehicle? Take a look at one of our own employees' experience.
On an average day, I'm managing a lot. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm also an employee. I'm always on the road. It's great to know the company has a fleet of electric vehicles and various charging stations, so I never have to stop at a gas station. My car always has a place to charge. If I'm driving my family or driving for work, my car, like most electric cars, has enough range to get me to work and back and the miles in between. When I need to meet with a customer or one of our external partners, there are public charging stations for me to use. Charging is simple. It's just like charging my phone at night. I plug it in, and when I wake up, we're both ready to go. Safety, comfort, and reliability are important for my family and me, and our electric car handles it all. It was an easy switch thanks to the company incentives to own a personal EV. Now I'm fully electric, 24 hours, 365 days, and I know I'm doing more than ever to help protect the planet.
So besides the higher cost and other factors that make people want to drive electric vehicles, Kate, tell us what is it that people are looking for when they search for an electric vehicle and go ahead and decide to purchase one?
Sure, so electric vehicles have a lot of benefits. They don't have any emissions, so you can reduce your carbon footprint. They're cheaper to operate. So for example, powering with electricity is about 2 to 3 times cheaper than powering with gasoline for your vehicle. You also don't have oil changes or other routine maintenance, so you save time and money there. But one thing people might not know is electric vehicles are really fun to drive. They have a lot of great pickup and they're very fun.
I'm driving a Chevy Volt now. And so I have experienced that. It is very fun, and you feel safe in it. And you've been driving an electric vehicle for a while, right?
Sure. So my very first electric vehicle at Dominion Energy was a Nissan Leaf. So I was one of the first employees at Dominion Energy to drive an electric vehicle. Today I drive a plug-in hybrid RAV4. So I get about 50 miles of electric range, and then I have gas backup after that.
And do you see us moving more toward fully electric vehicles?
Yes, often what we hear from folks is when they get a plug-in hybrid vehicle that it's a great entry to an electric vehicle, but they want more of that electric range. So I think a lot of folks will be moving to fully electric vehicles.
What is the top range when you're searching for electric vehicles? What could I get?
Sure. So most fully electric vehicles get over 250 miles of range, but there are vehicles that get over 300.
And I believe that's probably one of the hesitancies, besides the higher cost. One of the hesitancies is, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to find a place to charge my vehicle. And Dominion Energy is trying to do something to alleviate that hesitation. Talk a little bit about what we're doing in terms of fast charging stations.
Sure, absolutely. So we call that range anxiety. So folks are worried that they won't have enough electric range to get to their destination. The typical American drives about 40 miles a day, so the electric range on the vehicle is more than sufficient. But if you have to go on a road trip or if you have many stops during your day, we have programs where we're helping provide rebates and incentives for fast charging stations. And we're also going to be installing our first Dominion-owned fast charging stations this year.
And recently, I know that we are part of the electric highway system. Tell us a little bit about what that means and what are we doing in that regard?
Sure. So we were one of the founding members of the Electric Highway Coalition, which is a coalition of electric utilities, our peers in other states. And together we're collaborating to help accelerate fast charging availability for customers and for drivers so that they can be confident that they can go on a road trip in their electric vehicle.
How fast is this country moving to electrification?
Sure. So about 2% of electric or of vehicle sales are electric today. That's grown a lot over the past 5 years, but we still have a long way to go. There's about 30 or 40 electric models on the market today, but we think over the next 5 years that number is going to grow to 100. So we definitely see the transition moving quicker.
And we've seen some car companies really make big commitments, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. General Motors and Volkswagen, they've made some really big commitments, big signals to the market of a commitment to electric vehicles.
And what do you think that does to people's mindset when they're looking at these car companies and they see more opportunity, more options?
Sure, I definitely think that makes more folks think of electric vehicles as normal, as options for everyday drivers, not for only certain types of drivers.
There are about 5.6 million electric vehicles in the world, but that number keeps growing. According to Bloomberg, EVs make up 3% of cars worldwide, but by 2025, global passenger electric vehicle sales will be 10% and 28% by 2030, 58% by 2040. So what needs to happen to ensure all that takes place?
Sure, so I think there's probably two big holdups. The first one we talked about is range anxiety, and there's lots of ways that utilities and public and private companies can work to help customers relieving range anxiety. The other thing is education. I think that customers don't understand the benefits of electric vehicles. They might not understand how fun they are to drive, and they may see them on the roads and not realize they're there.
I was surprised recently to see all of the Tesla charging stations at Springfield Town Center. I hadn't been there in a while, and there's like 20 Tesla charging stations, and the people pulling up in their Teslas were all young. They were in their 20s, and so what do you think Tesla is doing to increase the cool factor and kind of alleviate that some of that anxiety people might have?
Sure. So Tesla has the nation's largest fast charging network. And Tesla vehicles tell you how far you are from a charger. So it helps relieve that range anxiety. But they also have that wow factor, for tech savvy customers and customers that just are interested in vehicles.
Right. Have you ever driven one?
I have.
Have you?
Yes, they're great. They're great.
Okay, so Dominion Energy is going to buy a bunch of Teslas for us to drive, right?
Once the cost is closer to parity with some of our fleet vehicles, we should certainly consider it.
And that's another thing. Yes, we talked about how they're more expensive, but costs are coming down. And how rapidly do you think that is going to happen, and why would that happen?
Sure. So, a large component of the cost of an electric vehicle is the battery, and we're certainly seeing battery costs come down. So that's going to contribute to a lower, upfront sticker price. But as I mentioned, it's cheaper to fuel with electricity than gasoline, no oil changes. You don't have to replace your brakes as often. So over time, the cost of an electric vehicle, and certain models on the market right now, it's definitely cheaper to own one than a traditional gasoline vehicle.
And it's a lot less maintenance.
Yes, the convenience factor's there. You don't have to worry about getting an oil change appointment every 6 months. Like I said, you don't have to change your transmission fluid flushes. Your brakes often don't have to be changed for many years. So there's that convenience factor.
And this brings to mind our electric school bus program. On a previous show, we actually highlighted that a little more in depth. But why don't we talk about that program? How did we come up with it, and what is it?
Sure. The electric school bus program is my favorite project I've worked on at Dominion. So we launched it and announced it in 2019, but we worked on it for several years before that. So one of the great things about our electric school bus program is it's been an innovative technology that we've seen from inception to actually having the product on the road, which is really exciting. So today we have about 50 electric school buses on the roads in Virginia. Many of them are already transporting students. And the cool thing is they're providing benefits to those schools, those students, and those communities right away. So it's a great initiative.
And you might think, these school districts in counties like Fairfax County and Arlington and Alexandria, at least I know that these local counties in Northern Virginia really have an emphasis on trying to reduce emissions. And they all want to have electric school buses, but they're very expensive. I believe they're about more than $300,000, which is 3 times the cost of a diesel-powered school bus. But our program had a way that it would not cost them any more money. Right?
Correct, yes. So Dominion helped with the additional costs for them to acquire an electric model. We also installed the charging infrastructure and we'll maintain that for them.
Right, right. Yeah, I know Fairfax has all 8 of their school buses, and Loudoun County is getting 5, and I'm not sure if they have all 5 yet, but they will.
They do.
Alexandria also getting 5, and those are the, and Prince William County is getting a few. So those are the Northern Virginia school districts that have some of our electric school buses. And we're hoping to expand it throughout the rest of the state. And there are other counties that are getting them as well, in the Richmond area and Eastern. What we would love to make it across our service territory in Virginia. And when you think about the emissions reduction, it's enormous. If you can think about replacing, 13,000 diesel-powered school buses with electric school buses, that could make a significant impact on reducing emissions, could it not?
Absolutely. And, transportation is the largest contributor to carbon emissions. So, and school buses are on the roads in every community. So really, addressing that segment makes a huge impact, for the communities where school buses are driving and the school children that are riding on them. Yeah,
and not only are they cleaner and cleaner for the community, you don't have all of those diesel fumes, but some of that air gets inside the school bus, and
Absolutely.
so it's cleaner for the children riding it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that it's really neat I've ridden on an electric school bus. I know you have too.
Yes,
and,
they're wonderful. They're very quiet.
Yes.
But when they're operated at a low speed, they do have a audible noise for safety.
Yes.
But when they are being operated on roadways, they're quieter, which is great for the bus driver to be able to hear and focus. And so it's great for safety as well.
Awesome. Well, let's move on and talk about a different program. You've mentioned it about the rebates. What is the rebate program, and who can take advantage of that?
Sure. We have a couple different rebate options. We recently launched a residential rebate program. It's on our website, where we'll provide residential customers with a rebate when they install a charging station in their homes.
And this would be a fast charging?
The one in your home. Let's actually, if you don't mind, can we walk through the types of charging?
Please do, yes.
So in your home is usually what we call either level 1 charging or level 2. And level 1 charging is your outlet. It's just like you would plug your cell phone into charge. It does get, we call it a trickle charge because you only get 5 or 6 miles of range on your car. But if you're sleeping for 8 hours a night and your car is plugged in for 8 hours, you're gonna get 40 plus miles of range. So for some people that might be sufficient. But what most of our customers at home are interested in is what we call level 2 charging. A little bit higher power, think about like your oven or your dryer, and it'll get you about 20 or 25 miles of range. So like I said, if you're home, for 8 hours overnight, you will be fully charged and ready to go the next morning. So we give a rebate for those level 2 chargers.
Do the level 2 chargers cost more money? I assume?
They're more
Yeah.
expensive than your traditional outlet.
Right.
But out there, there's options between maybe $300 and $500.
And how long have we had the rebate program?
It launched earlier this year, so
Great.
we're excited to promote it.
Are people using it? Have we had people sign up?
We have, yes.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully people will see this and go to our website and
Yeah.
they can get more information on how to get that rebate. And you have to be a customer.
A Dominion Energy customer, yes. It is one of the rebates we offer for our energy efficiency programs. We have a suite of programs to help customers manage their energy use.
All right. Great. Great. What other kind of programs do you have that we can talk about?
Sure. So we have rebates for other types of customers as well. So we offer rebates for workplaces that are installing charging for their employees. We offer rebates for multifamily communities like apartment community or a condo association. We also have rebates for fast charging, so stations similar to those Tesla chargers you mentioned at the mall. And then we also have rebates that we offer to our transit agencies for electrifying transit buses.
Great, great. What about rideshare programs? Are we in that market at all?
We are looking to launch a rideshare program later this year. And one of the real interests there is, rideshare drivers. I mentioned earlier that, the typical driver is around, 40 or 50 miles a day. A rideshare driver is 200 plus miles a day. So if we can help electrify the rideshare vehicles, we're really making a big dent in those carbon emissions.
And do you think there would be a program where if I'm a rider and I want to do rideshare and maybe I really want to ride an electric vehicle, will I be able to make that choice?
Yes, some cities are offering that, and that's something we're looking at for Virginia as well.
Good deal, good deal. We've talked about electric highway and the buses. Any other programs that you want to talk about?
One other program I wanted to mention is our new time of use rate. It's called the off-peak plan. It's for residential customers that have smart meters, and you don't have to have an electric vehicle to participate, but we have seen a lot of interest from electric vehicle drivers. So it's a rate program that you can go on, and it's an option for managing your energy use and your energy costs.
And that is very cool. We are here now recording this in the Mosaic District, where Relay, which is the autonomous electric vehicle that we own and partner with Fairfax County and the state and are working on a little shuttle service in the Mosaic District, which is very cool. It takes people from the Dunleary Metro over here to Mosaic. And it's a pilot program, so some people think it's there for good. No, it's not there for good. It's a pilot program, but we're learning a lot of things about it. And part of it is that learning from the program. And I know that George Mason University is doing a study on how people relate to it, and Virginia Tech, which has its own Transportation Institute in Blacksburg, they also have an autonomous vehicle of their own that they're doing research on, but also working with us. What kinds of things do you hope that we learn from Relay?
Sure. So one of the things that we've already learned is how important it is to engage with communities and stakeholders. So it's important that folks like Virginia Tech and George Mason are doing those studies. The other thing that I hope that we can learn is other applications for autonomous transportation. Autonomous transportation has all the benefits of electric transportation, but there's some icing on the cake. It can also reduce congestion in highly traveled areas or improve safety on certain routes.
Right. It's so interesting because I've talked to a lot of people about Relay, and before they ride it, some people are very hesitant. They're scared, and they don't understand all the safety mechanisms on the vehicle itself. Do you think how much of a problem do you think that hesitancy is with autonomous vehicles? Because I think there's also a hesitancy with electric, kind of along the same
Sure.
reasons.
I think there's always going to be a hesitancy with new technology, so it's important for us to educate our customers.
Right.
It's important for us to do these studies and let them know about things like electric vehicles and autonomous shuttles. So I actually would encourage everyone to try to take a ride on Relay in the Mosaic District.
Right. It's they're free rides, so that's exciting. And why not? Because it is the first publicly deployed autonomous electric vehicle on the roads in Virginia, and it's not going to be there forever. Something will come in its place, or we'll put it somewhere else. We're not really sure where it's going, but a lot of the hesitancy revolves around the safety. And what people don't understand is that there are many, there's LiDAR, and that vehicle actually is safer than a human driver.
Absolutely.
When you think about the number of crashes or the percentage, most of it, it's like 90% or something is because of human error, I believe. And so when you remove that factor and you put in you put in the autonomy and all of these technologies which help keep you safe, it really elevates safety.
Sure, you never have to worry about an autonomous shuttle being distracted by something on the road or by its cell phone or anything like that. So there's definitely a safety feature there.
Yeah, so it is very exciting. I remember somebody else said to me, "Oh, well, you can't." There's all that. He was talking about it's brightly blue color, and he didn't realize that there's a lot of window space, and when you sit on it, you see all around you. The visibility is great. So I think that people don't realize that until they ride it, because the blue is so vibrant, which is good. It's good. It's good to see. Anything else you can talk about in terms of electrification? How do we convince other companies? You were talking about the charging programs and the rebates for businesses and things like that. If companies have a fleet, I used to be a television news reporter, and we all had, cars that we were given to drive to cover our stories, and I was just thinking how great it would be if those fleets could be electrified. How do you convince companies to move toward electric vehicles?
Sure, so it's definitely foundational in education, but one of the things that we're doing is talking about Dominion's experience with electrifying our fleet. So we've been putting charging stations at our offices, and we've been incorporating electric vehicles into our fleet for a number of years. So we've learned some lessons, and so we try to share those lessons with our customers and help them get an experience.
Now, a lot of our fleet is comprised of trucks. I mean, a lot of our fleets are, these guys are line workers, and they're construction workers. But I do know that there are some trucks coming on the market that are electric. And what's the time frame there? How soon could that happen? And are there drawbacks to having an electric truck?
Sure, so we can already put in reservations. We've already submitted some reservations or intentions to purchase some electric pickup trucks for our fleet, and I know some of our employees are interested in them as their personal vehicles. So reservations are available now. We're hoping to see the first ones in Virginia and on the East Coast later this year and next year. And I think those are really going to be a game changer for our industry. One of the benefits of being able to have electric trucks and electric work trucks is when you're working in communities and you have your truck on to use your tools, you won't be having any emissions when you're in that neighborhood, and it won't be noisy. So power outages happen at night, and sometimes we have to work at night in communities. Right. So as we can transition, our fleet to electric, we'll have quieter, cleaner vehicles in our communities.
That is so interesting. You mentioned that. I mentioned that I used to be a news reporter, and oftentimes we would work in our vehicles. And there are many professions where people are doing work in their vehicles now if they're on the road, and that's part of their daily work is they have to go and meet people and they have to do their work in their car. How great would that be to not be spewing emissions and just be sitting there in your electric vehicle?
Yes. There's a lot of industries where the vehicles spend a lot of time idling. So if we can eliminate the emissions during those idle periods, that'll put a really big dent in the carbon.
Is it when you idle an electric vehicle, is there any more wear and tear on the engine? I remember, with gas-powered cars, I don't know if it's any more wear and tear on the engine. Is there any difference with an electric vehicle?
No, and actually sometimes when I tell folks, well, the average person drives about 40 miles a day. People will say, well, I drive 10 miles a day, but because of traffic, it takes me 2 hours. Electric vehicles are great in those situations. You're not using much of your battery when you're stuck in traffic, so you won't have to worry about those emissions or about range.
Interesting. We also mentioned, we talked about relay, and there's a lot of mechanisms on our cars now that give us some autonomy, like blindside detection and the cameras. A lot of that, we'll see more and more of it, won't we?
Sure. So we are already seeing some autonomous technology in newer vehicles, and I think that's just going to grow. So
what is your outlook for electrification of transportation?
Sure. So our outlook for electrification of transportation, we have about 25,000 electric vehicles in Virginia today, and we only see that growing. As more models are available, as more charging stations are available. For example, there's probably about 800 public charging stations in Virginia. A lot of those are in Northern Virginia, but folks don't see them. You see them if you need them, if you're an electric vehicle driver, but you don't see them. You do see gas stations. So I see that model changing a little bit. More charging stations at shopping centers and at public places that people will see. And so I think the model availability and more charging and then the decrease in battery prices, I really think there's going to be a step change in electric transportation. And we're excited.
We are excited, and thank you very much, Kate. I really appreciate you coming in here and talking about electrification of transportation. It's an exciting topic, and I'm so happy that you were able to come in and discuss it.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if you'd like more information about electric vehicle resources at Dominion Energy, just go to our website, dominionenergy.com, and search electric vehicles. I'm Peggy Fox. Thanks for watching. We hope you join us next time. Be safe.